I'm joined now by NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki. And Steve, how worried should President Biden be 1 year before Election Day?
Yeah, I think these polls, or this poll, I should say, of various battleground states by the New York Times and CNN, certainly getting a ton of attention, making a lot of Democrats uneasy, and I think for good reason here. Let's take a look. These are the 6 battleground states that we all sort of think will decide the 2024 election. And with the Times polled all of them, and I mean, you can see in 5 of the 6, they have Donald Trump ahead, including by a double-digit margin in Nevada. The only one where Joe Biden leads Donald Trump currently, Wisconsin, by a slim 2-point margin right there. I think what makes this so striking, and I say is it could be a good reason for cause for concern for Democrats, is the Times and CNN also did a series of battleground state polls around this time in 2019, basically the fall between the before the 2020 election. And they matched Biden against Trump, and that polling was very good for Biden. He was leading in most of the battleground states. It became something that his campaign pushed as part of their message to Democratic primary voters of electability. And now, basically exactly 4 years later, the same polling outlet is again polling battleground states and consistently finding a different result.
And Steve, where has the president lost ground since 4 years ago in terms of voting groups?
Yeah, so what's really interesting in this poll, and the write-up in the Times really gets to this, is they say they found, you remember in 2016 when Trump won the election, it was Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Those were the 3 industrial states that he flipped and that were responsible for getting him into the White House. But where he's made the biggest gains, at least according to this polling, relative to the 2020 election, Nevada is the biggest, where he's got the double-digit lead. That was a Biden state in 2016 and 2020. Georgia, went for Biden's 6-point lead. What they're saying is younger voters, non-white voters, are showing more of a proclivity to back Trump, and certainly more of an aversion to Biden than we've seen before.
What in the name?
And how that manifests itself, just quickly, we could take a look here. The Road to 270 Electoral College map, we'll be using this a lot over the next year. But, set it back to where it finished in 2020. Keep in mind, since then, we've had reapportionment. Some states have gained electoral votes. Some states have lost. Michigan, for instance, has gone from 16 to 15. So when you factor all of that in, the same result from 2020 with the new reapportionment, Biden actually starts off with 3 fewer electoral college votes, Trump with 3 more. And those 3 states where he's shown the biggest improvement, Trump has, according to this polling, if he were to flip them, that's Georgia, that's Arizona, that's Nevada. You could see it would still put him short of 270. He'd be 268, Biden at 270. So even if he gets those 3, where he's made the biggest improvement, he still will need to win at least one of those Midwest states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin.
Well, here's this clown from MSNBC again, Steve Kornacki. If you recall, before Trump's election, he made some outlandish predictions that were proven to be ridiculous. Not to mention here, notice he mentioned earlier that Trump is leading by a lot in Pennsylvania and Michigan, yet he doesn't have them highlighted on his map as he's going through this. So it still makes it look like Biden is ahead. I don't know how he thinks people aren't picking up on this. But anyway, let's have a flashback to when he made this prediction about Hillary Clinton.
How about the red states he needs to hold? How about the states Romney won in 2012 that Trump maybe is just assuming he's going to hold? If Hillary Clinton could sustain the kind of lead she has leaped out into this race, you could see other states that suddenly get crazy, states you wouldn't have even imagined, like a South Carolina, even a Texas. They could at least become competitive. No! And what it would mean doesn't mean Hillary Clinton's going to win all of these. It means we could have more competitive states than we ever imagined.
Do you even know what you just said?
And Steve, before I let you go, you mentioned those changing demographics going for Trump. Is that why you think Biden is slightly ahead in Wisconsin, but barely?
Yeah, and it's the irony, because the big strength for Trump originally was that he was able to flip these 3 states, but Biden right now continues to lead in Wisconsin. Trump does in this polling have an advantage in Michigan and Pennsylvania, but Wisconsin in particular, but all 3 of those states have older populations. In Wisconsin in particular, not a lot of non-white voters in Wisconsin. And actually, if you say what's powering Trump right now to better numbers is surprising support from younger voters and non-white voters.
Great Odin's Raven.
That's actually a recipe to struggle a little bit in those upper Midwest states, and it's more of a recipe to help you in the Sun Belt and the Sun Belt extended.
Steve Kornacki, thank you so much, and we'll let you rest up for Election Day.
Nice work, everyone.
Great story. Compelling and rich.